Hello， 大家好，欢迎回到外媒看中国，我是安博然。A US fashion designer and his friends were denied entry to Beijing's 600-year-old Forbidden City because of their dark and strange look, prompting the designer to say that he felt his freedom of expression was being stifled. Of course, this led to the usual anti-China trolls, accusing China of harming someone's human rights. But if you really think about it, is this really any different from the Vatican requesting guests cover their arms, or fancy restaurants in Europe denying guests wearing slippers? Today we'll chat with friend of the show, Eric Zhong. This is Reports on China. I'm Andy Borham in Shanghai. Let's get reporting. Beijing's Forbidden City, a 601-year-old site that was the imperial palace of the Ming and Qing dynasties for hundreds of years, has turned away a US fashion designer and his wife and friends because of their clothing and makeup style, sparking debate online. Here's an image of the group just outside the gates of the Forbidden City, moments before they attempted to enter and were turned away. Owens, who literally runs a clothing brand called Fecal Matter, made an Instagram post about the rejection, which read in part, "It's humiliating and dehumanizing when security escorts you and makes you feel like a criminal. What we take away from this experience is more determination to keep doing what we do, to fight for more acceptance and tolerance, to fight against those who try to box people in and remove freedom of expression." Beijing Daily weighed in, reminding the group that the Forbidden City and other sites like it are important and significant cultural locations that deserve respect. Respect is mutual. In this case, it's clearly not that these people's freedom to dress is not respected, but rather that they don't respect Chinese history and culture. And Chinese netizens are also having none of it. One Weibo user fairly pointed out, "I went to visit the Vatican. When the staff saw people exposing their arms and legs, they were asked to wrap them up with clothing." Another added, "If you go to a Halloween party dressed like this, no one will stop you." Yet more Chinese netizens said that the four would scare young children and the elderly to death. And Egg Ding Ding added, "Don't you have restaurants in your beautiful country that don't let people wearing slippers enter? But I can wear slippers at home for dinner." One Twitter user suggested that the group head to Taiwan, who recently welcomed drag queens to perform in front of a portrait of Sun Yat-sen, before adding, "There will definitely be liberals and colonialists who will use this incident to criticize China, saying that the Chinese have no cultural confidence and are intolerant. The problem is that this kind of weird dressing style makes not only Chinese people feel uncomfortable, but most Westerners also don't like it." Now I want to welcome back friend of the show, Eric Zhong, for his take. Eric, it's been a while. First up, what's your take on this Forbidden City fashion fiasco?
Well, I think it definitely shows that people are now growing more aware of their own cultural identity and, showing that respect is a mutual thing.
What is the significance of the Forbidden City and why do you think the group were turned away?
Well, I think first, Forbidden City is an old name, okay? It is an imperial palace that can be traced back to the Ming and Qing dynasties. But it holds a special significance not because of people's respect for the feudal system, of course, but because of the cultural significance it holds. In fact, now we refer to this very place more often as the Palace Museum. So it's the biggest ancient culture art museum in China, actually, and is visited naturally by thousands of people every single day. So suppose the group was turned away mainly just because they could affect or even disturb other visitors.
Well, do you feel, though, that this is some kind of attack on freedom of expression, or do you reckon that most people, even overseas, will understand it's just a matter of respect and decency?
Well, I think we need to be cautious with generalizing this concept of freedom of expression or freedom of speech, because freedom is indeed something very significant, and that's precisely why we must protect it from being abused as a concept. Well, I think it's understandable for other visitors or people with some special connections to Chinese culture and identity to feel disrespected. And I actually took a look at many comments online, both in China and overseas, and it seems to me that many people found this overtly attention-begging behavior repugnant. So I believe it's more about showing decorum, especially when you're new to another culture, and being proud of your own identity or belief should not just be this excuse to disregard other people's legitimate feelings.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I know that places like Thailand, with its temples and religious sites, don't let guests in with their legs showing. And that place has a lot of tourists who don't seem to complain about it. So why is it, do you think, that the same standards in China tend to attract these claims that the country is somehow suppressing people's human rights and dignity?
Oh, well, I think some critiques, they just love shoving everything under the freedom of expression umbrella term when it comes to China-related issues, right? I think that precisely shows the lack of value diversity and maturity to understand nuances.
Yeah, I totally agree. Value diversity is a good term, and I think people need to really take that into account when they visit other countries, even China. Thank you so much, Eric. It's good to have you back on the show again.
It's always good to be back.
And that will be it for today, you guys. But as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think that the Forbidden City was too harsh? Should guests be allowed to express themselves how they see fit? And what do you think of the group's fashion statement? Do let me know down below. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help the channel. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.